I moved to Colorado in September, and in November, 2 months later, Emily was killed in a hit and run. And I was given a call by one of our mutual friends who was first on the scene at 3 a.m. Emily was my best friend for 5 years. She was the sister I never had. I never felt closer to any other girl or anyone really as close as I have ever felt with Emily. It was 5 a.m. here when I got the call and 7 a.m. in Georgia when I got the call from Heidi, who contacted me and told me the news. Emily had just asked me, basically begged me to stay in Atlanta and move in with her before this whole thing happened, and I told her that I needed to go to Colorado to be where my job is, and instead of commuting. So yeah, it was kind of like if I had been there, how would that be? You know, there's so many emotions that went through my head: disbelief, fear, because she was just now trying to talk to me about God. She didn't know. She didn't grow up in the church, and so it was just more along the lines of we were just now starting to, you know, I was just now able to start talking to her about the Lord and His love for her. She just went through a really bad breakup, and so she just didn't understand why God would allow her to do that, go through that if He loved her. So I didn't know if she came to know the Lord after we had talked about this back in July of 2015 or not, but yeah, so just I wanted to be there and I couldn't because I was stuck in Colorado, and yeah, it just was really, really sad. So at first we didn't know who did it. We didn't know who hit her. We didn't know who ran. We didn't, and then it was like 3 days later when she finally, you know, we finally got the news that it was actually a friend of hers. And so the trial started, and we were thinking, oh, 6 months maybe, because they've got to get all the information. They have to get, you know, all of the witnesses of that night. They have to go through, you know, get all of the data, and sorry, I'm really all of the evidence. And so, you know, it was just kind of like hard because, you know, you think that it's going to happen, and then they set a trial date, and then it just extends, and then they set another trial date, and it just extends. You don't think it's going to be 2.5 years later that you're going to trial for your best friend. That 2 weeks was two of the hardest weeks I have ever had in my entire life. So many emotions. I saw and heard some things that nobody should ever have to hear or see coming from a loved one like that. We got closure, which was nice. The woman, she got 16 years in prison. And as much as I'd like to say that's enough, you know, it is enough. Because all we wanted was justice for her and her family and for us, and just some sort of closure. It was nice to have that we didn't have to be strung along anymore. It was nice to know that we can actually start moving on. I am hopeful for new beginnings because you have to have a new beginning after all of that, you know? I want to know what I am to learn from this. What was it that I needed to learn from it? Or to, you know, is it to help someone else, maybe down the road? Jesus is a comforter, that's for sure. And I know that He's a healer of the heart, even though that it's still hard to talk about, obviously. He's definitely done some healing so far. He's just a good dad because he listens. And as hard as it has been for me to talk to him about it, because I was angry at him for a long time, he still listens even though I was angry. And he's not gonna stop, which is so great. He's not gonna get it fed up with me, like talking about it or being frustrated with him about it. As hard as it may seem, and as easy as those words sound coming out, it means a lot more to not give up, because I wanted to give up so many times. I mean, I had to go through her birthday for 2 years. I had to go through my birthday for 2 years. And then, her life celebration. We had an amazing life celebration. And every single time I felt like the scab was healing, it would just be torn right off because there wasn't any closure. And so, yeah, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be really hard, especially when there's like moments of you're getting married and your best friend's not there. You're wanting to start a family, your best friend's not there. And so, as hard as it may be, just don't give up.